Hello, I'm Aron Goodman. I'm a sophomore at Morrison High School, and this is my second year in the Humanities Academy. In this year in Humanities, I struggled to find a project to complete. I started this year with a graphic design project where I'd make custom profile pictures for users on the internet. My goal was to sell them, turn it into a small business. This would be great because I love graphic design. I'm even taking a class for it. This took majority of the year, and I focused on learning how to improve my graphic design skills by making simple designs that others would like. I managed to get a few orders from a gaming community. On screen are two examples of my work. One person asked me to create a design for them, but gave me the image to the left as a reference, and gave a one-word description: sandwich. This is just one example of the difficulties of fulfilling orders like these. However, after a while, it was becoming way too easy. The designs I made took hours of work, yet I was still not happy with them, so I decided to look for a new project to complete. In the process of finding a new project, I had to keep in mind the things I enjoy doing. Last year, I created a film about my grandmother. She's one of the youngest survivors of the Auschwitz concentration camp. We went to Poland together, and I wanted to document her story. I wanted to continue spreading awareness of the horrors of the Holocaust. So my first thought was to make another Holocaust documentary about a woman named Anne Monka who was rescued by the Belsky brothers. She was rescued from a ghetto and lived in the wood with the partisan group. There was a movie made about the Belsky brothers called Defiance, so I thought telling the story from her perspective would be interesting. I have an interview that we did with her before she passed away. I plan on editing the already made videos. I thought this was interesting because a large part of my life is dedicated to preserving stories of the Holocaust for future generations. For my second idea, I was going to help create a Holocaust-based school curriculum at my high school. This would mean working with the administration and the local university to help find a way to include Holocaust studies in our regular history classes. I want more people to be able to understand these events in history because there are many people in the United States who have never even heard of it. I met with Pepe Margalis, who wrote the curriculum for New Jersey elementary schools, and she said she would be willing to help. I am interested in these projects, and I will work on them in the near future. However, I decided to do something different for this year's project. Recently, a lot of my neighbors asked me if I know anyone who can help yard work and babysitting. I realized that there are a lot of people in the community who are looking for teenagers to do various jobs for them, but cannot find them. This gave me the idea to create a website that connects teenagers who are looking for work with community members who need help. These include jobs like babysitting, lawn mowing, and painting. I thought this would be nice because it could really help the community. So, I drafted a proposal. I then created a poll to see what other students think of the idea. I emailed the administrator for our class to help publish it, but I have not heard back from her yet. My goal here is to get feedback from as many people as possible to find who is willing to take part in this project. So far, I already have 2 families who are willing to sign up. Today, I have an outline for the website and it is partially complete. I decided to use Google Sites. If my cousin could help with HTML and JavaScript for both front and back end, I would migrate to a more customizable site. I mainly do user interface and data entry. I'm working on this because I like connecting people, and this service is useful for everyone. It's a win-win for both parties. It can be useful for older people who need assistance or anyone who needs an extra pair of hands. This is only planned for Morris County, but I hope to expand in the near future. What slowed me down were the numerous projects I planned on doing outside of this class. I said I would do so much more than I actually could. These are some other things I am working on at the same time. The slow progress is attributed to these personal projects. First, I was creating the teen employment website, which I previously mentioned. I was also creating the Wikipedia page for my grandmother. It would be an informational source so people can easily access her biography and story. I was also editing the interview with Anne Monka. At the same time, I was publishing the film from last year. I was also asked to create and edit an advertisement for Ferrero USA's new partnership with Kidzania. This would be a promotional video. On the bottom right is a screenshot of my progress in creating that video. These were all things I planned on doing. It is challenging to work on so many things at once, so I'm focusing on a few at a time. I intend to continue these projects even after the school year ends. I did not really expect my year to go how it did, but it did have some positive outcomes. I was able to be flexible and allow myself to change with different projects. Whenever there was a roadblock, I managed to get around it. When there was a roadblock I couldn't get around, I changed paths. Without flexibility, I would not have even been able to create this presentation. This presentation not only shows the successes, but also the roadblocks and failures. For these events, I take accountability. I procrastinated the entire start of my projects, and it took me until the middle of the year just to decide what to do. I also learned a lot about responsibility. Towards the beginning, I was not responsible with my time. Now I am able to manage these projects. I feel like I bit off more than I could chew at the beginning, but one by one, I will work on these projects. I also worked a bit on my humility when I planned to be taught how to use certain 3D rendering softwares like Blender. Unfortunately, I lost contact with the user who was going to help me, so the plan was never executed. I believe that the work shown here is evidence of my improvement.